The difference between pay-per-call and pay-per-lead. So there's actually a few very fundamental differences about pay-per-call and pay-per-lead that I think everyone needs to pay attention to. And there's a few things that are extremely valuable about pay-per-call and a few things that are extremely valuable about pay-per-lead. And there's some pretty significant differences in there. Today, I'm going to discuss what are some of the differences, what are some of the pros and some of the cons of both. With pay-per-call, the major pro is one thing very specifically, and that is real-time analytics on performance. When you generate a lead and sell the lead, we all know what goes into that. You have to call the lead, get them to pick up the damn phone, hope that they pick up the phone. If they don't, you got to call them again. Then you'll have to call them again tomorrow if they don't pick up the phone. And if they still haven't picked up the phone, you're going to have to call them until they pick up the phone, which could be weeks. It could literally be months. So because of that, you don't have immediate transparency into the quality of the leads that you're generating. You can have the best lead generator in the world generating leads, and they're selling those leads, and they're just not performing for a buyer. But then after 3 months, you look at 3 months of traffic, and wow, it performed well. Whereas with pay-per-call, you have immediate transparency. You can listen to the calls that have come in that day and be like, oh, okay, these calls are performing well. We paid $1,000 for the traffic. 5 of those leads turned into sales, and now we have a $200 cost per acquisition. So you're able to listen to the calls because all the calls are recorded. Everyone knows that, thank you for calling, this call will be recorded. We all hear those prompts that come up as soon as we make the phone calls, and that's consistent as to what's going to continue to happen. So it's really important that with pay-per-lead, a lot of lead generators and a lot of guys who are media buyers that drive traffic, they actually prefer lead gen because it's much easier to drive a consumer to a website, have that consumer fill out the lead form, click submit, and move on with their life. And then you get paid for that lead. It's very simple. Compared to qualifying the lead, getting them interested in the specific product or service, and then prompting them to call in. Now that they've called in, now we have to keep them on the phone. And we got to hope to God that when the buyer receives that phone call, they pick up the phone as quickly as possible. Because unfortunately, a lot of times they don't. And that's why it's really important as a broker to protect your publishers. Because a lot of times people will generate these calls, they'll be sent in, the buyer doesn't pick up the phone, they don't have any agents available, there's a telecom issue, there's a routing issue, there's an outside of states list issue, there's a million issues that can happen when you try to generate these leads or these calls. And it's really important that you know what you're doing, because if you don't, a lot of people can lose a lot of money. But the good news is if you know what you're doing, you can also make a lot of money. Pay-per-call, in my opinion, is better as a broker, only because we have immediate transparency and visibility into the entire sales process real time, compared to leads where you're depending on the buyer to have proper sales processes, follow-ups, management, closing abilities. The list goes on and on and on. And you, as a broker, are hoping to God that they have their processes in place, and you have no transparency into that process. So there's really nothing that you can do to ensure that the quality of your traffic stays intact and that the CPAs that the buyers are looking for are going to be hit. You just don't know.